back.
We're back.
So this is number 4, numero 4. How do you say that in Finnish?
Nelia.
Neljä.
It means 4.
4.
I don't know how you say number 4.
Number 4. Fyra, that's in Swedish. Do we know any other languages?
No.
In the beginning we said we may have some themes or some subjects we will talk about, and we've been doing that for the last few ones, and why not? And for this one we thought maybe talk about vegan versus not vegan, or vegan, vegetarian, different kinds of lifestyles maybe, because we can clarify that you're a vegan, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not, although I have been a vegan a long time ago, and right now I'm doing actually the keto diet. But for how long have you been a vegan?
A vegan. Almost 15 years.
15 years.
Almost. I became a vegetarian 15 years ago, or even more than 15 years ago. And then maybe 2 years later I became a vegan.
And for a while I know that you even only ate raw food. Do you still do that?
No, I eat sometimes, but yeah, I tried maybe for 2 weeks only to eat raw food.
Yeah. So what's the difference? What's raw food? It's not cooked. It's not the main.
It's not. It's you can only heat it to a certain degree, like 42 Celsius, I think, or 41. After that, it changes the molecules and stuff changes within the food.
So it's worse for you, or it loses nutrients, or what?
It loses energy, because everything has energy, like electromagnetical energy. For instance, I've seen many times you can take like a potato or a lemon or some kind of fruit, and I saw on YouTube people putting in nails and threads.
Yeah.
And they could light a little light bulb from it.
From the energy of the fruit?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know.
No.
But also...
Are you sure it was a real thing? Or because sometimes those videos are like sketchy?
I'm not sure, but I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
But even if that's real or not, it's still in science labs you can like take a certain kind of photography and you can see the energy field.
Yeah.
So if you cook food, then that electrical energy disappears.
Okay. So is that the main reason why you eat raw food, or do you have other reasons too?
It's very good for your health. You get a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I got like super much energy.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe that's not good.
Yeah. Too much energy.
Yeah, exactly.
You
so
become hyperactive.
Yeah, and it's good for me. It was very good for my like intestines.
Yeah.
I felt really good. So I want to start to eat more raw food again.
More raw food.
Yeah.
And why did you? Long time ago, we used to. When I was a vegan, we used to joke about we should have like cards that we hand out every time someone asks all these questions that I'm about to ask now, because it's the usual boring, like, why did you become a vegan? Why did you? Are you? Is it for the animals? Is it for the blah 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 blah? And it becomes kind of like again this same thing again.
Yeah. I remember that, but nowadays people don't ask me anymore.
People don't ask.
It's become much more accepted now.
Now it's more normal.
Yeah.
And also the other way around, because for a while I felt like we talked about this before, we were talking about the vaccines, and I said anytime I feel like there is a movement trying to do something, I get skeptical and I get scared, and I try to like think about it, and for a while it felt like the veganism movement was really strong. It was almost judging everybody else,
Yeah.
and that for me was something that make me
Take one
take a
step.
step back.
Yeah.
It,
One interesting thing though is that veganism is a movement originally, because the original meaning of the word vegetarian means you eat nothing but plants,
yeah,
no milk, no egg, nothing. That's the original word for vegetarian. But then people started to eat eggs and
do their own version
even
of it.
chicken and fish, and they say I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And veganism, from the beginning, was a political movement. So that's exactly what you said. It was a very radical movement sometimes, and that brand is still there a little bit. So I actually I am a vegetarian, but I say I'm a vegan because
That's how people understand it
Yeah.
now
yeah. So I'm not like a vegan in that.
in the moment.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going to say. Is it feels like it's like veganism and vegetarianism, if that's the word to say it, has become more accepted, more normal, and at the
Yes.
same time, it has chilled a little bit uh, the way vegans or vegetarians judge people who wasn't.
For me, I see this from the other side. Sometimes people say like, why are vegans so like radical or stuff? And why do vegans like argue about stuff? For me, it's always been the other way around. All the carnivores, all the meat eaters are the
Yeah.
one trying to
Yeah.
tell me I'm doing wrong. I've never said anything to other
Alright.
people. So they say like veganism is a sect, but I say the way I see it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I've been the one that's been quiet, and everybody starts to argue with me. Not anymore. This
Yeah.
was more in the beginning, but nowadays nobody says anything.
Yeah, nowadays is like I said, it's become a lot more chill. I think that's the way it should be in order to people. If people need to transition or want to transition into veganism, it should be in a way that you're not, you don't feel that you're being judged or
Yeah.
you're, yeah. So I think it's moving in the right direction
Yeah.
there. Uh,
Speaking about this transition, I often speak with people that ask me stuff about veganism, and many people say like I've tried or I'm trying, but it's not so easy. And I'm the one that tells them to take it easy, because if you're gonna transition into being a vegan, you need to do it very slowly. If you do it like over one day, it will backfire most likely, because the bacteria in your intestines are not used to getting the nutrients from if you bring in a totally new kind of diet.
yeah.
And also the cells, they're also used to the old way of picking up nutrients, even though there's a lot of protein. There's more protein in broccoli and in cauliflower, in beans and in nuts than it is in meat. So many people that becomes vegan say they feel hungry, and that's because their body doesn't utilize everything.
Yeah.
So you need to transition over maybe 7 years, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So the first thing you can skip is the red meat and dairy products, and you stick with fish and like bird.
Eggs, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, eggs and birds. But then after a while you can
Transition away from that
Yeah.
too. So I think the what people think about when they think about transition is, am I going to be healthy? What you're talking about, am I going to be healthy? Can I feed my kids this? What's your experience? Can you be healthy? Because
you're
there
gonna
are,
be way healthier for
Yeah.
sure. You should ask yourself the other question. You should turn it around. If you would eat only meat for a couple of months, you would die.
but there are people who eat only meat.
Not many.
Yeah.
Maybe Eskimos, but
No,
I
but
don't.
there's a new movement of people that actually only eat meat. They don't eat anything else, and they say the same thing. They say they feel great. They feel like you should eat only meat. Blah 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 blah.
Hmm. I've
So,
heard many other stuff. Like the
yeah,
World Health Organization has now gone out and said that eating meat gives cancer.
yeah,
They don't know exactly why,
yeah,
but they do know that eating meat increases the
yeah,
risk of cancer a
yeah,
lot and heart disease and everything. So what people often talk about is like B12,
yeah,
and vitamin D.
yeah,
So yeah, I eat those supplements. I eat vitamin D because I also live in Sweden. We don't have so much sun except in the summers.
yeah.
And the B12, but also the people that eat meat get low.
Deficiency.
Yeah, because first of all, D12. No, not D12.
B12,
Yeah, I mean vitamin D.
vitamin D.
It's produced in the skin
Yeah,
when you're exposed to sun.
yeah,
So the animals aren't exposed to sun today. So you don't get it enough from animals. And also B12, it comes from the roots in some like grass and stuff.
yeah,
And we used to get it from the water that we drank from rivers and stuff because with rainwater it went down
yeah.
into the water and we drank it. And nowadays animals don't get it enough. So we give B12 to animals. So we don't need to get B12 from an animal because it's given to the animal in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that the B12 deficiency can look like Alzheimer's or other
Yeah, you get some nervous
yeah,
problems with your nervous system.
yeah,
So it's really important.
yeah. So it comes from roots.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a bacteria in roots,
Yeah.
in the like dirt.
And the
And then
animals
roots.
used to eat that.
They
maybe?
ate that. Sometimes animals still eat a part of the root, maybe, but not enough. And we don't get it from the water
Yeah.
because animals also drink the same kind of water we drink.
Yeah, there's a podcast I watched a long time ago between one that was a vegan and a non-vegan. They have a bunch of arguments back and forth on of why to eat meat or not eat meat, and one of the things was B12 was a big thing. The guy arguing for eating meat was saying that vegans have like 80% of vegans had the B12 deficiency. But
Yeah.
if you can get that from something else, then it's not a problem. So who cares,
Yeah.
really?
The thing is about being a vegan, it's a very wide category because there's people that are vegan that eat really bad.
Yeah,
I met a guy, he only ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
yeah,
That's the only thing he ate.
yeah,
So that's not good. You
Yeah.
won't get like all the nutrients
Yeah.
that you eat. So you still have to be smart and eat good.
Yeah,
And that goes for being a carnivore as well.
yeah,
You can eat healthy and you can eat bad.
yeah. And do you think that a lot of people that transition to veganism, because the usual thing is people feel better, right?
Yeah.
After a while, they feel better, and it's also, I think, maybe because when they're transitioning to veganism, they are transitioning into, maybe that example goes against what I'm saying, the peanut butter sandwich guy, but most people start eating healthier.
Yeah.
It's not only they stop eating meat, they also stop eating maybe processed foods and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and at the same time they're moving towards veganism, and that can also be a reason why they are feeling so much better. It's not only they have removed meat, but they're also eating healthier. They're eating a healthier
Mhm.
um, diet, and Uh, what do you think? What do you think is the future? Do you think that humans should? Of course, you think that, but should we all transition into that? And is that doable? How is it with
Yeah,
the?
it's actually not doable for us humans to keep eating meat, uh, because many people they transition. I transitioned because I felt better, and without knowing it, I did a transition for many years without like knowing I was becoming a vegan. So I see this in many people that they are doing a transition without even doing it consciously. So I think the humanity is moving in that direction. And some people they do it because it's better for the environment. And it's also a very important thing to think about the environment for, because 1 kilo of meat, in order to produce that, you need to produce 1,000 kilo of soy and 10,000 liters of water. So like 10,000 times more water, 1,000 times more soy. So to produce the amount of meat that we do today, we need to chop down so much forest. That's why a lot of the forest in the world is being, they make like plantations out of it.
But even when you eat vegetables or greens only, those need to be produced as well, right? So
Yeah,
that needs water. That need
yeah, but not
crops.
still. In order to do one steak, let's
Yeah,
say 1 kilo, just to eat 1 kilo of
that's a big
food,
steak.
yeah, you need to eat like you need to do 1,000 times more soy
Yeah,
to feed the animals. So it takes like 1,000 times more energy
yeah,
from the earth, and like water as well, 10,000 times more water.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
And
So
we have never eaten this much meat, never in history as we do now. It has never been possible. We would have killed all the animals that exist
yeah,
to in order to eat this much meat.
I think that for me that's the biggest argument because I think we could I think we could eat meat in a way that's not destroying the environment. That could be done. I don't know if by creating meat in labs or something like that. The my biggest issue is I don't see the difference between a dog and a cow. I don't see the difference between a dog or a cat and sheep or a chicken.
Yeah.
I don't see the difference really, or pigs.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the biggest thing. I think it's double standards to see a
Definitely.
dog as a cute pet and then a cow
Yeah.
gets to go.
Yeah.
That for me that was the biggest thing. The health thing was not as such a for me such a one of the biggest reasons, and also the environment was not either because I feel like if we want to we can do it.
Mm.
Even for the environment we could do it, even if it means that we're creating meat in labs or something. If people really want to eat meat or feel that that's the kind of diet they want to have, we can we I'm sure we can make some meat like products that taste like.
It's already done.
Yeah,
We have in like I think it's called Impossible is a brand for they make burgers,
yeah,
and it's impossible to tell the difference.
yeah.
So it's possible,
uh,
but I for me I don't see the purpose. I don't need any meat substitutes.
yeah, because you moved away from that
Yeah,
already long time ago, but
yeah.
for people that are
When
just
they do the
moving, yeah,
transition, yeah, we usually call it transition food. Those
yeah,
kind of meat
yeah. I mean,
things.
I see the same way since I've been doing keto, and I stopped now for a while because I had corona. So and I didn't wanna. I don't know. In my head, it was. Do you know that the one of the risk groups for corona was diabetics, and
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know, the more severe diabetics, I don't know what that's called, if that's the type 1 or type 3 or type A, B, C, I don't know the names of it, but they the more severe type of diabetics, they have ketones in their blood,
Okay.
more ketones they need. That's exactly the same thing that happens when you are eating the keto diet. You're eating a lot of fat and it releases ketones into your blood, so you're in the same state. So in my head I was like, I shouldn't be doing keto during this pandemic because I thought that was connected in somehow, so I stopped doing keto. So now tomorrow I'm going back to that. And what I wanted to say was, I see what you're talking about transition foods is how I saw sugar. Because for a while when I started doing keto, we started making bread with broccoli flour, or we started doing pizza, or we started making stuff like I ate stevia instead of sugar, so I replaced the sugar and the bread with other stuff. And after a while I was like, what's the point? I don't need the bread, I don't need the sugar, I don't need to replace it with anything, so I can just don't eat it. So I guess that's the same way what you're talking about, the transition foods, like the fake meat and the fake. But I still feel like if you like meat, if you like the taste of it, then why not? I mean,
the thing is also, we think that we think individually with our brains, but actually a lot of our thinking is done by the bacteria in our intestines, and we get these from our parents and from their parents and so forth. So I think it was very easy for me because I had it in my family. My father's from India, so for me it was very natural transition. I never had any cravings whatsoever. But I've seen this so many times with people that say, no, I will never stop. Like, I can stop eating meat, but I will never stop eating cheese. But then after a while they do, because they stop liking it, they stop craving it when the further you go. But if you like go cold turkey and go against yourself, then it might backfire. But if you do it very slowly, you can like increase vegetarian stuff, decrease animal products. If you do it slowly, you will drop the cravings as well.
I really feel that goes for any transition you do. It's like you can do it. It's not that difficult. It's the same I was talking about with keto and sugar and bread and pasta and stuff like that. You can do it. It's not that difficult. The bigger question is, why should you do it, and what are your reasons, and can we do it in a way that's can we transition in a way? Do we need to transition, or can we do it some other way? I mean, if your reason is you don't think that animals should be treated like that, should be killed because of food, then if that's your reason, then you should do whatever, right? It doesn't matter.
But the thing is, it also backfires because the worse the animals feel, the more stress hormones they produce and pump out into the meat. And especially when the animal gets killed, it like releases a lot of stress hormones, and we eat that. So, and we become addicted to all kind of hormones, even if they're good or bad. It doesn't matter. We become addicted to it. So, yeah, if we eat that a lot, we will become addicted to stress hormones, and we will be more stressed.
Yeah. So we're getting the stress. So we're getting the stress hormones from the animals because they get stressed because the lifestyle they have, not only when they're getting killed, but also if they're in a cage.
Yeah.
That that transitions into us, into ourselves.
Yeah. And also we get a whole bunch of antibiotics as well,
Yeah,
medicines, because the animals get sick all the time, so they pump them with drugs just to keep them alive.
and that moves over to us, and we
Yeah.
get resistant to antibiotics, and then if we get sick and we take antibiotics,
Yeah.
it doesn't help.
Mm.
Yeah, so there are a lot of reasons why to become a vegan, right? Or
Yeah.
why to stop eating animals.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what you said, this with double standard. I've heard this many times. Like Western people, they complain a lot about Chinese people for eating dogs. I've even heard people say that they will go there and kill them and everything. And that's hypocrisy for me. At the same time, you kill pigs here
Yeah. Yeah,
and yeah, cows and everything.
yeah, I don't understand that, how you separate these animals from these animals. Why are these animals fine? Why are these animals food?
Yeah.
And especially when we know that other cultures see it in a different way. They
Yeah.
see that animals as holy and that other animal
Yeah,
as
like
food.
in the Middle East, you see dogs as dirty.
Yeah,
Like
you see
many people would
you
never
see pigs
bring in a dog into their house.
yeah, and they will never eat a pig.
Yeah.
And in India, cows are holy,
Yeah.
and here they are food, and you know, in other cultures they eat cats, rabbits. I mean, so I mean, we're smart enough that we can understand that that's a cultural thing. What animals are okay and what are not okay to eat.
Yeah.
That's a cultural thing. So
But we come from, you and I, we come from like one culture but grew up in another culture, and I'm mixed, so I have even more cultures. So we can see differences in different cultures, but it seems like many people here, they see it as the way we do it here is right, and what they do in other cultures are wrong.
yeah,
Just like that.
yeah,
So
that's
so I've heard people saying like, I hate fucking Chinese people. And I said like, isn't that a little bit racist? I said, no, I don't care. All the Chinese people are idiots because they eat dogs. And I said like, yeah, but we eat pigs here. And she said, I don't eat pigs. Yeah, but all the other people here eats pigs. Or why don't you say everybody in this culture is idiots? So
yeah, and that said, I don't think all Chinese people eat dogs.
no, they don't.
Yeah, so that's a misconception. But even if they did,
Yeah, that's their culture.
how can you judge them for doing that, and then you eat cows and pigs and other animals?
Yeah, it's double standard.
Is double standard. So if you're trying to become a vegan because of animals, because you don't feel like animals should be killed, it should be for any animal.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is it how smart they are? Do they come when you call them?
It-
Cows can come when you call
Yeah.
them. Pigs come when you call them.
Pigs, they say pigs are even smarter than dogs.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They
So-
say they are third or fourth smartest. I think it's like humans and dolphins, monkeys, then pigs.
yeah,
I don't know how they measure it, but
yeah,
I've heard that many times.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, and I can say that the main reason for me that I'm not is not only because I think meat is delicious, I do, but it's mostly because I have a wife and two kids, and I could never get everybody on board.
Yeah.
And I tried like 5 times, and it always ended up me or my wife making two different meals, one
Yeah.
for me, one for the rest of the family, and that's not doable long term. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the biggest issue for most people. Is like one wants to transition, but no one else wants.
Yeah.
And
That's never been an issue for me. Because all of my partners have been like vegetarian, and also in my family, there was no problems.
do you feel that when you meet someone, if they were not, you wouldn't go out with them?
Yeah. Today I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, because it becomes you won't be able to eat together.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend is not 100% vegan, but she's becoming one. She's
Yeah.
vegetarian,
Yeah.
but she's almost 100% vegan, anyways.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't. It would be difficult.
Yeah. And how about friends? Because I eat meat. Are you breaking up with me? No,
No,
but you know what I'm saying is like, do you start uh, getting away from people that
no,
th-
no. I'm not taking it
only
that far.
only for a partner
Yeah.
is because you guys eat together every day
Hmm.
and also because it's easier if you have the same philosophy
Yeah.
about life and you don't have to not argue but bring that up every day, even
Yeah.
though I don't think you have to anyways, but
I also think that is also a cultural thing. Like you're South American. What I've heard, you eat a lot of meat over there,
yeah.
and my father is from India, and in India it's very, maybe even today 60% of the population is vegetarians.
Yeah.
So it's almost the norm.
The norm, yeah. Yeah, so you grew up eating vegetarian food anyways.
A lot of it, not completely, but
Yeah.
when we ate chicken,
Yeah.
not so much like pork or beef, sometimes chicken.
Chicken, yeah. So for you it was an easy transition, in
Yeah.
other words. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm I'm split in the sense of I'm still not sure about the health stuff. I haven't researched it enough, and I would like to research myself because the small research I've done is like you hear some people say that like what you were talking about before, the nutrients you get from meat, to get that from vegetables is really hard. And maybe it's because of what you're saying that our bodies are not used to use, even though it's there, they're
Mm.
not used to
Yeah.
using the nutrients, and it takes time. Maybe that's the reason, but I hear some people argue for the quality of nutrients, but that's not the main reason for me is the thing that I need to
Yeah.
convince everybody to transition, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah. I think, like, for researchers, you find what you want to find.
Yeah,
So there's so many different scientific studies, but the most recent, they it's coming more and more like studies that says now that it's okay to be a vegan, because before, when you, like my friend, she had her kid, he's 7 now, and he is a vegan. He's always been a vegan, and I think it was a year he was born, they come up with a new study that it's okay to have a vegan kid, but before that they didn't know.
yeah,
So you have to find very recent studies,
yeah,
because it's also like tainted by the culture,
yeah,
by the way, like eating meat has been the norm, so
yeah,
that also taints,
yeah.
it affects the research.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's I mean, we'll see if we transition into that in the future. There were some doctor talking about this on the news a few days ago, saying that if we were all vegans, this pandemic would never have happened, and
Hmm.
which of course is true. It comes from animals
Yeah.
and uh, and a lot of diseases transition from animals to us. But the question is, do they only transition through eating them, or can some diseases transition to us anyway by your dog licking your face? You know, that could be a way anyway. So I don't know if that holds up in court, that argument, but
I think
maybe.
it also has to do with when the way we keep animals, that they become sick because it's so cruel, it's so nasty, it's so dirty. Somebody said, I think it was Paul McCartney or his wife said, like, if all the slaughterhouses had glass walls, everybody in the world would be vegetarian,
Yeah.
because it is really nasty.
Yeah.
Like, even just drinking milk is nasty because they had to force inseminate the cow, and then when it gets calf, they take it when it's maybe 1 or 2 weeks. They take the calf away from the mother, and the mother screams, and the calf screams. He gets really stressed, and then they kill the calf, and then they take out the milk, and then they do it again and again and again and again. And somebody would say, like, if you're a feminist, don't drink milk, don't like become a vegetarian, because you're raping the cows over and over their whole lifetime. And they kill the calf, and they scream, and they get like sores on the
Nipples.
nipples and everything. So they have to put antibiotics in the milk and everything, not maybe directly into the milk, but into the cow.
Yeah.
So it's a very nasty process.
Have you seen that they actually make a hole in the cow somehow? I've seen like they, and I don't know why they do that for. Maybe someone can write in the comments. But I've seen they like kind of like make a hole in the side of the cow. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
And they keep that open
Haven't seen it.
directly into the intestines of the cow. I don't know what that's for. That's really strange. I'll see if I can find some footage of that and put it somewhere. I don't know. Otherwise, you can Google it yourself. But yeah, the way we treat them is really, and yeah, my parents are from South America, so meat is the norm. We always ate a lot of meat, and we still do. My parents, my mom doesn't eat that much meat anymore, though. She has stopped eating a lot of meat, so
It becomes easier and easier all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, 15 years ago, it was not that easy. You couldn't go out to restaurants. Now you can find it anywhere in Sweden,
yeah,
like in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere. I stopped at a restaurant on one road in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't expect them to have anything, but they made like really great vegetarian food for us.
Hmm. Question: what do you think about the people? Because some people really don't think that killing an animal for food is wrong, because they compare themselves to whatever other meat-eating animals out there, a lion or whatever, and they feel like if I can do it in a humane way, which killing something is never. If I can go out and hunt for the meat that I eat, that it's okay, because I'm not contributing to the to the to the environment issues by having animals in cages. And
The thing is, if we would go out and hunt the way we eat meat today, we will kill all the animals in the planet very quickly.
yeah,
So people have never in history eaten this much meat, and people seem to think that we have always been eating so much meat, but we haven't. Even like fish, I read recently that here in Östersjön in Sweden, they like fish. They bring in so much fish with like nets just to make powder from it and feed like salmon. What do you say? When they grow salmon.
yeah,
So
crops of salmon.
yeah, it is not natural.
Yeah, no, and there's less and less fish. And do you think we can feed everybody only with vegetables?
Definitely, 100%.
Is doable?
Yeah,
But
we can feed everybody on Earth now, as it is. Like Western countries, we dump tons and tons, like millions of tons of food every year into the ocean.
yeah,
So there's definitely ways of feeding everybody. That's not a problem. It's an economical problem, but it's not like a resource problem.
yeah. So the argument for, if you are a hunter and you kill the animals that you eat, and that's not sustainable, because it will only work for a few of us, and the rest of us will have to buy meat anyways, and
Imagine if you want to, every time we eat every day, several times, every time you need to go and hunt, and we would go out now into the forest and hunt, all the animals would be dead in a
yeah,
year or so in this area, and all the animals will go extinct really quickly.
it depends on what animals and how fast they reproduce. I guess
Yeah, but
it will let
if
them.
we if that would be our main like thing we eat, they would all animals they couldn't reproduce that fast.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be the main thing though. It could be it could be that people eat animals sometimes, and when they do, they eat animals that are not in cages, that they're not in.
Yeah,
That could be a first step,
yeah, could be.
transitioning away from the way we're doing it now. It's
If
eat
that was
less meat.
yeah, if that was the case, we wouldn't have the same kind of cravings for meat. Anyways, so yeah, definitely it would be a step in the transition to becoming
Yeah,
like vegan. And also, I've looked and read somewhere they had made a kind of a diagram. I'm not an expert in this, so I don't know exactly what it was, but they've looked at the different kind of animals, and they look at what kind of stomach they have, what kind of intestines they have, what kind of acid they have. They looked at many factors. So cows, what they have, like wolves, what they have, monkeys, humans, and we humans, we are like to the animals when it comes to what kind of intestines we have and our acids and our teeth. We are we're supposed to eat nuts and fruit mainly. That's what our bodies are constructed for eating. But we as humans are very adaptable, so we can adapt to different things. There's some animals that can adapt, like rats and cockroaches, and humans.
yeah.
We're adaptable, but
Good group of
yeah,
animals.
but we are supposed to eat not like cows eating grass and stuff, but fruit and nuts
Yeah.
mainly.
A lot of animals adapt, and I think I saw somewhere even a deer eating a bird.
Well,
So that's strange.
yeah, that's
And
really strange.
and monkeys too, like eat meat sometimes,
Yeah,
and
there's
eat.
some tribes of monkeys that actually eat meat
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. So yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know where all this is going to go. The and I don't know what I will do either, because I feel like it's really hard to convince everybody to transition. And I tried that many times, and I feel like that's maybe the problem for most people. But yeah, as the more it becomes available, eating vegetarian
Yeah,
food
the
or
more it
vegan
becomes
food,
a norm.
yeah, then the more you will do it. And I guess we all need to decide on, should we treat animals this
Yeah,
way, and if we decide we shouldn't, and we still decide that we still want to eat meat, but we should do it in a way that's not so cruel, then maybe the prices should go up.
yeah. That's another thing. It's pretty weird that meat can be this cheap. I mean, if it takes 1,000 kilos of soy to produce one piece of meat, 1 kilo of meat, then like vegetarian products should be much cheaper,
Yeah,
but it
they're
doesn't reflect.
no, they're expensive, more
Yeah,
expensive than meat. Yeah,
yeah. So like the ones that produce meat, they get also funding from the government
yeah,
so that they can keep the prices low.
yeah. If vegan food becomes more accessible, the prices reflect the 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 time and energy that it takes to produce them, and meat also reflects the time and energy it takes to produce them. Then the meat should be a lot more expensive, which would result in people not
And
eating
also
meat.
the energy to prepare the meat. I mean, if people that eat meat, if you gave them a knife and a pig and say kill it and make your food, most people wouldn't.
Yeah,
It's like you have to do so much to get it in that form.
yeah,
And with vegetables, you don't have to do it as much.
Yeah. If you eat like corn, you just
Yeah.
take it and peel it and boil it, and it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot easier, of course. It's
And
a lot
also,
easier.
what you said about if it's cruel to the animals and cows, they are mammals, and pigs also. So we have like three brains. We have the reptilian brain. It's almost exactly as a crocodile brain. And we have the mammal brain, and then we have the cortex, which is the human brain, where we have like speech and creativity and stuff like that. But the mammalian brain, that's our emotional brain. So it's almost the same brain as a cow, but they don't have the cortex. But they do have the emotions. They don't have the intellect. They cannot put word on their emotions. They cannot speak about it. They cannot process it. But they do feel the same emotions. So, yeah, they are suffering, definitely.
Yeah, of course. If someone thinks that animals don't feel, then you should go and kill yourself.
Yeah, then
If you feel that animals have no, if you had a dog, you know animals have feelings. Animals feel everything, and it doesn't end there. It doesn't end with dogs.
Yeah.
Every
then you're
animal.
a psychopath.
Yeah.
I mean, they say like serial killers, they start with killing animals. And if you think like, yeah, it's okay to kill animals, they don't feel anything, then you're weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think most people eat. I think people like separate those two things, like
Mhm.
how they feel about animals and then making lunch.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
Yeah.
It's not the
I
same.
mean, there's no connection. Even I eat a lot of stuff, vegetables. I don't know where they come from.
Yeah.
I don't know how a broccoli plant looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I know how a avocado tree look like, but a while ago I didn't know. So
Yeah.
I think we maybe need to educate ourselves about what we eat, what it is, the whole process.
Yeah. And this is maybe even weird, but do you think plants feel too?
In some way, not in the same way we feel, because they have made, they can monitor the electromagnetic impulses from plants, so
Yeah.
they can monitor their consciousness in a way, and they've done tests when they say like I'm gonna kill you and stuff, and the plant reacts from
Yeah.
certain kind of intentions.
Yeah.
So they have some kind of consciousness, but they don't have this kind of body that we have that feel in the same way.
So where do you draw the line? If so, is it okay then?
I mean, now we're going into really deep spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
That is not the norm, but
Yeah.
I think there's a levels of consciousness. I mean, how should I put it? We as not human beings only, but as souls, as like beings that can incarnate in different forms, we have a certain kind of evolution, and we can come to different stages where we don't eat so much. For instance, the yogis in India, some of them don't eat at all, and here in West you say that's totally bullshit, but this scientific studies that they've done there, they have monitored people for a long time. One person they followed for first 365 days, monitored him for that long. He didn't eat anything. And then they did it again after a couple of years for 400 days or more with the same guy. He didn't eat. So they have developed something within them so that they can absorb the energy from the sun directly. So this is this is like way past the norm of the Western mind. So this is total science fiction for the Western mind. But yeah, maybe we can evolve to a certain place where we don't need to eat. But here on Earth, most of the beings here on Earth will eat. But maybe in other dimensions we won't have to eat anymore.
Yeah. But at least we could eat less.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at me, you can tell I eat too much. So first step would be eat less,
Mm.
and I think a new trend now is intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
and that's really healthy for you, and that shows you that you don't have to eat every 3 hours like they used to say. At least here in Sweden, their recommendations were eat not that much but eat often,
Mm-hmm.
and now is not the case anymore. Now people are saying you should fast for at least 15, at least 12 hours.
Yeah.
And they say after 12 hours, the intermittent fasting starts working on your body, and healing your cells, and so we don't have to eat that often, that much. We can eat less, and that could solve part of the problem.
Yeah.
And then when we eat, we don't have to eat as much meat. We can eat less meat when we do eat. And third is, what can science do in order to produce food? Because maybe that's way too crazy, but it will end up being like we eating stuff that's man-made.
Mm-hmm.
No plants, no
Yeah.
nothing. It's a pill.
I don't want to go in that direction. Maybe some people can do that if they want to, but I want to go more into a more natural direction.
What would that be? Not eat at all, you mean?
No, I mean
Don't eat an avocado.
things, eat organic things that are growing from the earth, not
Yeah,
produced in a lab.
yeah. So you mean that you draw the line where if it has eyes and blood, no. But if even though you're saying that plants can feel,
And also, for instance, in like Vedic philosophy, they talk about different consciousness levels and also different things to eat. And the worst thing for us to eat is like animals, and like red meat is the worst. And then fish is better; it's lighter for us, and then plants. But then also fruit. Trees give it away. It's a win-win. They give the fruit away so we can spread the seeds.
that's true.
So we can be more in harmony with nature, even when it comes to eating plant-based.
Yeah, that's true. So you heard it here. We can be more in harmony
Yeah.
with nature, and we should. And I think this was a really interesting talk. Is there something else you feel like sometimes we end up and we feel like, oh, I should have said that, or at least I do. Do you feel like there's something else you want to say about the
Maybe I could add when it comes to this transition thing that if you're thinking about making a transition, be easy on yourself. It can take up to 7 years, because I met many people, as I said before, that it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but it's too hard. I didn't feel so good. So I'm the one saying to them, like, take it easy. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's okay. Maybe start eating more vegetables and a little less meat, and then you can drop the red meat, drop also dairy products, and stay with fish and chicken for many years,
yeah,
and then slowly reprogramming yourself to.
yeah. And I would like to ask one last thing.
Yeah.
Do you do checkups on your like with doctors and
I've
blood?
done it a couple of times, and
Yeah.
all the time they have been like, "Whoa, you have really good health,
Yeah,
like much better than average." So
yeah. Okay. One last thing then, because one thing that's obvious is we are all different. We all our bodies are different.
yeah,
and
we have this different kind of metabolism types.
yeah.
So
So
we didn't go into that.
we
this
didn't go
time.
into that because I don't know if there's enough research about is veganism good for everybody, or are some people like not going to be able to be healthy on that?
I
Do you
mean,
know if there's
there's
research like that?
within research, there's not a consensus, and like some people, what I've noticed, research is often like bias. I mean, if some people are pro meat, and then will find that kind of research, and other people will find the other kind of research. So there's many different opinions both
Yeah.
in research. There's many conflicting discoveries.
Yeah. Maybe it's
But
too new.
yeah,
It will take some time
yeah,
before we have all the data and can analyze it
yeah.
in a way that's
For instance, I have blood type. My blood type is type O negative, and I read that type O negative people should eat like almost only meat. And at one period, when I first moved from my home, I was living with a girl that ate a lot of meat, and I ate a lot of meat, and I felt so bad. I felt so sick. I was depressed. So
Yeah.
that's why I became a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So in my case, even though I have blood type O negative, meat doesn't work well with me.
Yeah. So yeah, to round this up, I would say for me it's like I feel like becoming a vegan could work for me.
Mm.
I could do it, I think. Maybe I'll do it later on. I think it's important to respect everybody, and not everybody's at that stage or feel it's important or for them or 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 they want to or they need to or they don't view the issue, the environment issue, the same way as I do or as we do, and the way the cruelty about treating animals that way. Maybe someone lives in a farm somewhere and they have their animals, they treat them really well, they want to continue eating meat, they don't see it this way. I think the important from all the sides is respect the way the other people, and let's talk about it in a way that's
Yeah.
constructive. And if I say something that's bananas crazy and doesn't and it's not grounded in anything, then okay, I'm wrong. I'm open to change. And if you say something that maybe it's not right, I think that's why we like talking to each other. We're open to see things from different angles and investigate. And I think everybody should do that.
Yeah.
Don't judge someone else
Yeah. I
because
think what you said, like this with respect, I think that would change the world. If people started to respect each other, it will also like overflow to respecting nature, respecting animals and everything.
yeah,
So definitely,
yeah,
I think that's the way.
sure, great. So this has been a great one. I love talking to you about this
Yeah.
stuff, and
Same.
we'll continue in a few days and do next one. So thank you and
Thank you.
bye everybody.